Okay, everyone, I was going to go over a quick comparison of the grips on Toelke longbows. So I've had probably 75 plus bows, and I have kind of landed on a Tolki collection as my go-to. What you see here on the left are 3 whistlers. Those are all 58-inch whistlers, except for this one here is a 60-inch whistler. And then you have 2 64-inch whips on the end there, the longer ones. What I was going to really talk about, though, is the grips. So I haven't ever seen a video that really compared the Tolki grips side by side. And really the only thing I don't have a good representation of here is the traditional classic, the old classic, but I think I have most of the other ones here. So first of all, we have my favorite grip. This is what Dan, I think I've heard him call it the flat classic, but I think it's generally more often rather called the 10X classic. So it's a classic grip, but it has this 10X throat here, kind of right there and right there. And then it has a pronounced flat spot here for you to push into your hand. It's a lower angled grip, and man, it feels really, really good. This is my favorite. It's what I hunt with the most. It's this flat classic or 10X classic grip. The regular classic is just a little more rounded here, is really the primary difference. I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I think that's the primary difference on this one. Then this one is the regular standard. So this is a takedown bow here, but you can see how the grip has a little bit more roundedness to it here, where those lines kind of come off, and then there's a sort of a high spot in the center, and then it kind of falls off this side too. So this grip here does have the thumb rest, and this is just the kind of normal standard grip on a whistler. Now, obviously on a whip, your grip angle is going to be slightly lower because the riser's longer, but it's not that big of a difference, honestly. You can kind of notice it here when you look at the grips online. You'll notice this part sticking out a little further on a whistler than on a whip. And then now this is where these two differentiate, is that this one's got the flat spot. So this is a regular standard. It does have a little bit of fall off right here to the left. It's not quite as squared as a true flat like 10X, but it has a really nice flat spot here in the middle where my thumb is. And I really like this grip too. If I had a second favorite grip, it's going to be this. Actually, I have a whistler on order now with a grip like this. That's a standard grip, but a little more flat here. And then another grip that's getting really popular the last several years. Well, actually, let's do the 10X first. So then compare that to this 10X. So the 10X does not have the thumb rest. It does have a little bit more of a grip angle. If you see this here, how this one sticks out a little more even than this one. So that's your standard, kind of flat standard, and 10X, all 3 in a row there, plus your classic. So you can kind of see those classic, standard, flat, standard, I don't know what you call that, just a flat spot on a standard, and then a 10X here. You can kind of see the grip angle difference. And then the 10X and the classic don't have the thumb rest pad. So the thumb rest will stick out to the side, but the classic and the 10X are just flush. Now the 10X, in addition to having a little more weight in the riser, the 2 big things that you get here are, maybe arguably a slight bit more of a beaver tail right there, but then you get this super flat spot and a grip angle. So my favorite thing is this 10X flat spot, but on the classic shape riser, or really honestly on the standard too. Dan can do any custom grip you like, but those are kind of his primary ones. So there's your 10X. Get a look at that. It's got more of a sharp edge on either side than the others. And then another grip that's getting more and more popular is this best grip, which this is actually on a whip. So the grip angles are not going to show exactly, but this would be, if you could imagine a 10X blended with a standard, you're going to get this best. The key differences are going to be, you're still going to get this sharp line. This one, the best grip's going to, I think, have a slight bit more of a grip angle. It's a little bit higher grip than the standard. And the throat right here is a little skinnier. So your hand really sinks up in this one way up high, which I've heard a lot of people compare this grip to the Jaeger 2.0 grip. So there's a look at the the best grip, but it's on a whip. Another really flat with a real sharp edge on the best grip, whereas a standard, this is a little bit softer. Even the flat standard, this is a little bit softer. And then you can see that compared to, this is another 10X Classic, but in a whip. So you see you've got this nice flat surface to push into, nice sharp edge on this side, good edge on this side. But you can kind of see those grip angles there. The difference in those two is pretty substantial. The string makes it hard to see, but maybe you can kind of see the two grip angles difference there. How much more meat is right here than right here on the Classic versus the best. And then of course the 10X is even more, but with the more deflexed riser, you get a little more of that anyway in the whip, or the Whistler versus the whip, which is just, you see it's a little bit longer riser than on the whip. The Whistler's a little shorter riser. Anyway, so there's a bunch of Tolkis. There's a bunch of information on the grips. I hope it's helpful.